Charles Taylor's name is synonymous with the brutal civil wars that ravaged Liberia. Born in 1948, Taylor's early life hinted at the ambition and ruthlessness that would characterize his later years. He rose to prominence during a period of intense political and social upheaval in Liberia. The country, founded by freed American slaves, was plagued by deep-seated ethnic divisions and economic inequality. In 1989, Taylor launched a rebellion against the government of Samuel Doe, igniting the First Liberian Civil War. Taylor's group, the National Patriotic Front of Liberia, or NPFL, became notorious for its brutality. Civilians were caught in the crossfire, and Taylor's forces were accused of widespread human rights abuses. Despite the atrocities committed under his command, Taylor gained a following among some Liberians who saw him as a liberator from Doe's corrupt regime. The war raged on for 7 years, leaving an indelible scar on Liberia's social fabric and claiming the lives of an estimated 250,000 people. Taylor's charisma and ruthlessness made him a powerful figure, both feared and revered. He exploited ethnic tensions and manipulated the media to his advantage. His rebels, often children forced into service, became symbols of the conflict's barbarity. In 1997, after a peace agreement ended the First Civil War, Taylor ran for president of Liberia. His campaign slogan, "He killed my ma, he killed my pa, but I will vote for him," chillingly reflected the climate of fear he had created. Taylor won the election, and many hoped that he would bring peace and stability to the war-torn nation. However, his rule quickly descended into authoritarianism and corruption. Taylor's regime was accused of systematic human rights abuses, including torture, extrajudicial killings, and the suppression of dissent. He maintained a tight grip on power, eliminating his opponents and silencing any form of criticism. His regime's brutality further destabilized Liberia and had a spillover effect on the entire region. Taylor's involvement in the neighboring Sierra Leone Civil War, which raged from 1991 to 2002, solidified his image as a warlord. He provided support to the Revolutionary United Front, or RUF, a rebel group notorious for its use of child soldiers and horrific acts of violence against civilians. Taylor's aim was to gain control of Sierra Leone's diamond mines, fueling his war effort and enriching himself and his cronies. This trade in conflict diamonds, also known as blood diamonds, shocked the world and further tarnished Taylor's reputation. As evidence of Taylor's crimes mounted, international pressure for his prosecution grew. In 2003, a UN-backed Special Court for Sierra Leone, or a CSL, indicted Taylor on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity for his role in the Sierra Leone Civil War. Facing intense international pressure and a renewed rebel offensive in Liberia, Taylor resigned from the presidency and fled into exile in Nigeria. In 2006, after much negotiation and with the promise of a trial, The Hague, Taylor was handed over to the SCSL. His trial, which began in 2007, was a landmark moment in international criminal justice. It marked the first time a former African head of state was tried by an international court. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence, including testimonies from victims, former child soldiers, and Taylor's associates. In 2012, Taylor was found guilty on 11 counts, including terrorism, murder, rape, sexual slavery, the use of child soldiers, and pillage. The court found that he had aided and abetted the RUF in committing atrocities in exchange for diamonds. The verdict was hailed as a victory for justice and a powerful message against impunity for leaders who commit atrocities. Taylor was sentenced to 50 years in prison. Charles Taylor is currently serving his sentence in a British prison. His conviction and imprisonment marked a turning point in the fight against impunity for war crimes, particularly in Africa. However, his legacy continues to cast a long shadow over Liberia and the region. The wounds of the civil wars run deep, and the process of reconciliation and rebuilding remains an ongoing challenge. In recent years, there have been calls from some quarters for Taylor's release. Supporters, including the Liberia National Heritage and Culture Development Association, argue that his trial was politically motivated and his sentence is excessive. They claim that he was not the sole perpetrator in the conflicts and that other key figures have not been held accountable. However, many victims of Taylor's regime and human rights groups oppose his release. They argue that he must serve his full sentence as a symbol of justice and deterrence. The debate over Taylor's release highlights the complexities of international justice and the long road to reconciliation after conflict. Despite these calls for clemency, Charles Taylor remains incarcerated, his name forever etched in history as a symbol of brutality, greed, and the devastating human cost of war. His case serves as a stark reminder of the need for accountability and the pursuit of justice for the victims of the most heinous crimes.